introduce yourself? Like, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, I'm Jeanette Tillman. I don't know what you want to know exactly. For my day job, I'm a senior systems engineer, and I'm working for NCAR. So I mostly do system administration, cluster system administration. And I've been involved in HPC for a while and gone to SC over 10 times. So I think that's probably why I'm on the panel. And this will be a strange year. So I kind of wanted to say that I'm interested to see what students have to say. If anybody's attended virtual conferences, if there's any tips for how to get the most out of a virtual conference, I am looking for that information as well. So. Oh, and I should also say I've been part of the student program too for a while. So a lot of you who are past volunteers probably know me, but I've been doing the student volunteer program and students in general at SC for, I don't know, probably about 5 or 6 years now. So.
Are you part that attending SC more than 10 in that question?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. Next. Our winner that should be disqualified.
Yes, I think I should be. That's right. Yeah, so my name's Douglas Fuller, and for my day job, I'm a software engineering manager at Red Hat. So I manage the software engineering group that develops the Ceph file system, if any of you are familiar with that technology. And I'm also this year serving as vice chair for students at SC. I've been attending SC since I was a freshman undergrad, and I have to say it's done a lot for me over the years, and that's why I continue to come back and volunteer. So thanks, Radita, for organizing the panel and inviting me to speak.
You're welcome. And then Rocio.
Yes, so I'm Rocío. I'm last year PhD student in computer science in Universitat Jaume I in Spain. And I do HPC focused on linear algebra algorithms. So I'm not that experienced maybe in terms of how many years I've been in SC, but thanks Radita for considering me interesting for this panel. And SC18 was the first year I attended SC. It was as a regular student volunteer. Then last year I was lead student volunteer, and this year I'm part of the committee, Students at SC committee, and I'm in charge of scavenger hunt and also helping with the leads subcommittee.
All right, thank you, Rocio. So last one, we have Manuel.
Hi, everyone. I'm Manuel Valera. I'm originally from Venezuela. I'm doing my PhD in San Diego State University in computational science. I hope this is my last year. My first time in SC was in Salt Lake City as well. I was a regular student volunteer for 2 years, and since I've been promoted to lead student volunteer for the past 3 years. So this is going to be my first time being. I hope to be in the committee next. But yeah, SC has been an amazing experience for me every year, and that's why I keep coming back.
Okay, thank you, Manuel. So I will throw some questions, and 4 of you just kind of tell me what's your opinion. This is like a fun talk show, and if our other attendees already have questions, just type it in. I already set up another account just to check your questions. So feel free to ask anything. But let's start. My first questions to all of you, you keep saying that SC is amazing. You have attended more than 10 times and keep coming back. Can you give us like some general overview of the SC programs, and why do you like it so much, especially for these 9 new people that just attended this SC for the first time? So Janet, maybe?
I was kind of thinking the students, it would be, or, you know, the younger people would be better to
Ah,
go. Yeah, for me, when I first started attending SC, and we kind of had this conversation before, you know, here in this room before we started the panel here. And there's not a lot of stuff for the kinds of, you know, for my career at SC. There wasn't back in the early 2000s. And so I attended SC mostly for networking. And you're going to hear that from people over and over and over again, that you know, the things like the clusters that we stand up, we have strange problems with them that nobody else sees, right? I've touched equipment that have the serial number of 3. You know, there's no place to go for help, but having, you know, these people, these networks that to go to and say, hey, I happen to know you have one of those strange things as well. Can you help me with this? That's really invaluable. And then also talking to vendors as well. It's an opportunity for me as a systems person to tell them directly what I'm having problems with. So that part, the networking part, is really invaluable. And this is going to be a strange SC without that. And we're all kind of struggling with how do we recreate that at SC. And I'm glad to see people here. This is exactly what you should be doing. Like, it's an excellent opportunity to talk to somebody like Doug at Red Hat, right? Where do you get that opportunity? You're going to get that kind of opportunity at SC in a normal year, and we're going to try to recreate that as much as we can. So that's why I go to SC, is for that. And now I would also say we worked for a long time to get some system stuff at SC. And over the last maybe 2 or 3 years, SC has really you know, adopted that, which has been nice. They see that need. And so there's a state of the practice talk, or a track that's at SC this year. So if you're a systems person like me, I would highly recommend that. It's going to be nuts and bolts, you know, systems people showing their solutions. And then we also have a workshop. There's a SIG HPC SysPros ACM virtual chapter. So another professional chapter of the ACM, a sub chapter of SIG HPC. And we put on a workshop for that as well. So if you're a systems person, I can help you find more systems stuff at SC, which is always a kind of a struggle still, but it's getting better. So that's my little SC pitch.
Yeah, and to echo what Jeanette just said, fundamentally SC is people. And it's one of those situations where a lot of times you're working on something, or you're doing something, and you're thinking, I wish I could talk to somebody about this. I wish I could talk to the person who made this code, because I want to give them a piece of my mind, or I need some help with it, or I'd like to help out with it. Or I'd like to talk to the people who made this machine because it's really given me grief in this or that way. And they're all there. And you can find someone to talk to about just about anything in high performance computing. So especially as it's grown, SC is more and more people. The other thing is that compared to other conferences that I've gone to, SC combines a conference and a trade show. So you end up with being able to attend a paper, and then even just a few minutes later, go to the show floor and talk to people that are actually driving the technology forward in terms of both hardware and software. So it's a place where what really is kind of a small field when you think about it all comes together at once. And there is nothing as stimulating and nothing as tiring as getting to be in the same either physical or virtual space as that many people in the field. It really does comprehensively represent the entire field as a whole.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
students, please.
Well, I think
I keep calling Rocio a student. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're not a student anymore, are you, Rocio?
I'm still a student. Yeah.
Are you still a student? Okay, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. I kept calling you a student. I'm going to make sure you are still a student.
I'm still, yeah, maybe for 2 or 3 more months when I will finish my PhD, hopefully. But yeah, I was supposed to be done by July, but you know, COVID came, so yeah. So still a student. I think most of the important things have been highlighted. So the occasion to talk to everyone, which is important in the field, great opportunities for networking. And I'm sure you would be as surprised as I was the first time when I went there, and I realized that everyone is so ready to help and talk to you. So don't be shy and introduce yourself to everyone. And I mean, from a student perspective, it's also true that there are some things that I haven't seen in other conferences, or maybe not with that big promotion. Like, for example, the lightning talks. That's something that in principle we can be shy maybe, but if you leverage that, you have the occasion to let's say have your own space in the conference, like a junior speaker, let's say. So for a few minutes, you break the ice of presenting in front of a lot of people. So that's something that I would highlight as an interesting thing to, again, don't be shy and participate in the conference a little bit more. That's one thing I will highlight. And well, there are other things like the resume workshop that for the first time I was curious about, and it turned to be a really interesting experience, not only because I got really interesting clues about how to improve my CV, but because I also realized that there are differences from different countries. The perspective on how to create a CV is different. For example, I gave my CV to the person that was in front of me, to the expert, and she told me, "Why have you put a picture in there?" And I was like, "We always put pictures in Spain in our CV." So things like that, after the years, you remember them. So try to experience everything without being shy, and the most you can.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I like the most about SC is the variety of different activities that you have. Of course, you can network in each one of them, and you're going to see all kind of people in each one of these different activities. So I think my number one advice to anyone who is the first time or maybe for a few times is to try to get involved in every one of those activities. Like sign up for everything that you can, and then figure out how you're gonna be there. At least when you are during the SC week previous year, this year is going to be very similar. There's so much happening at the same time that you don't know exactly what to do, and you want to be in several places at the same time. This time, at least, you are going to be able to open different tabs on your browser and maybe do it in one way. But definitely try to do the mentor protege program if you can. Try to do the job fair, of course. There's still time to sign up for that. The job fair is amazing because you can actually talk directly with representatives of different very important places to work, especially national labs, different universities. They can actually guide you through the process of how to apply for your next step in career. That's really amazing. And try to attend as many as workshops and as many as tutorials as you can. While you're there, try to actually ask questions because these people are going to be there. The same people that give the tutorial are going to be answering your question at the end. And of course, try to interject and try to make them acquaintances or try to get their email and try to connect with them if that's something that interests you. Yeah, definitely sign up for everything. And also, I think there's connections to be made at every level. So especially, you're going to meet a lot of people who are way ahead in their career, but also you're going to meet many more people that are at your same level in your career. And those maybe are the most important at this time to actually make those connections and try to collaborate with them, try to make friends with them. And if you come back every year, you're gonna see that many of those people are going to be here year after year, and then those connections are going to be. So yeah, don't be shy. Definitely try to sign up for everything and enjoy being as busy as you can during the SC week.
Okay, really cool. So that's why you keep returning after several times in SC and still not, I don't know,
Not tired
feel
at all.
tired with SE. Not tired at all. Cool. So I've listened to a lot of like events there and sessions like job fair, and then like the resume building, and then the networking, and also the things that I asked in the icebreaker, Birds of Feather. So I actually see that there are a lot of things that you can attend in SC that might overwhelm you. But do you have any personal recommendations, what sessions that you must attend? If not, you will regret it. Students first now.
Well, if I can go first, I think I said a couple of them. Definitely, as soon as the schedule is out, you want to go through that and try to mark all that interests you and try to make a ranking of how you are going to plan to attend all of them. But definitely see the authors and try to check them with whatever research you're doing and try to see if some of those authors are already in your research bank, so you can actually ask meaningful questions to them. But because maybe you already have read one of their papers, or maybe you are doing something very similar to them, and you can actually ask those meaningful questions that are going to highlight their experience too, as well as yours. But definitely, as soon as the schedule is up, I don't know if everything is up already. I think there's some missing pieces still, but definitely go there and try to make a schedule of the whole week, of the whole 2 weeks, because now it's 2 weeks. Yeah.
I think that's the best recommendation. Spend some time planning what you want to attend, and this year everything is virtual, so that lets you swap and change in case you have different preferences. At the same time, due to priority, you choose a workshop and then you realize that you want to go for the second one instead of that one. Try to leverage the occasion that going virtual is giving you all, and try to planify in advance as much as you can the sessions you want to attend. I think that's the best tip, because when everything begins, there's really no time for anything, and all the things that are offered are a lot, so you cannot just decide during the conference what you want to do. And I will say that try to determine what are you most interested in. If you want to look for a job, if you want to update yourself in a certain field, if you want to go for a tutorial because you want to be introduced to something you are curious about, try to determine exactly what are you interested in and go for it.
And then from the veterans, do you have any good advice for all these young students?
We're going right to left. Jeanette, you want to go first?
Oh, I think you're next. I think we're going opposite order, so you're next.
Yeah.
All right, it's a toroidal panel. We'll go around. Very good. Okay, that's a well-studied communication pattern. So, you know, I think there's a couple of suggestions that I'd make. First of all, I think the students' prior suggestions to build a game plan are excellent, because you'll be overwhelmed. You'll have to miss things. You'll have to make tough choices because the schedule is always widely packed. So let me add to that one suggestion that you should also try, and this is going to be even more challenging in a virtual environment, but we're doing the best with the students at SC program to give you as many chances as possible to run into one another. And a lot of times the discussions you have in the hallway are the best. Also, let me highlight a couple of specific programs that I think that you shouldn't miss. So one is the poster session. I think we have a poster presenter here in our audience, if I remember right from the beginning. So congratulations for that. Oftentimes it's a little bit underattended, but it has a bunch of people, oftentimes as many as 100, that have sent research that's cutting edge enough to, it's cutting edge enough that it's not right for a paper, but is ready for a poster exhibition. And during the poster session, all of the posters are manned by the people, their authors. And so it's a great way to meet and get a chance to talk to people all across the discipline, no matter what field of study you're coming to supercomputing from. And the poster presenters are often very excited to talk to you, and they're usually very short lines. So in terms of meeting new people or people who are interested in your area of research, the poster session is a hidden gem. Second, especially I'd encourage those of you looking for careers, but even those of you that are interested in what's going on in the applications of high performance computing, to take a look at what the vendors are doing. So there are two sessions. One's called the Exhibitor Forum that I think we're still doing this year, which takes the same format as paper presentations. And another is the HPC Impact Showcase, which I think we're skipping this year because it's hard to do virtually. But both of those are situations in which the show floor vendors present on their own technology. And a lot of times if you go to the booths, you'll get a sales pitch. But in Exhibitor Forum, you get a lot more detail. And those pitches are usually given by company engineers and scientists, people actually in R&D that are great networking opportunities if you're looking for jobs. So let me just plug both of those as diamonds in the rough.
All right. So I will again put in a plug for all the system stuff that goes on at SC, the State of the Practice track and the SIG HPC SysPros workshop. If you're doing any kind of systems work, networking, facilities, storage, compute, that's what we cover. I think the workshop is shaping up. We're going to have a really nice like after social event afterwards, which I think will be a lot of fun. So if you're looking to rub elbows with people that stand up, they're looking at exascale at this point. These are people that are amazing to talk to. Those opportunities are open to you. Take advantage of them. And then the two things I would also point out: the awards ceremony is a lot of fun. Come see who won the student cluster competition, that kind of thing. Award ceremony never fails to impress me and be a lot of fun. And then the other thing is Dr. Panda. He does an InfiniBand tutorial that is famous. And so if you're doing system stuff and you want to learn more about InfiniBand networks or any kind of, he does all sorts of high performance networks, but mostly InfiniBand, his tutorial is not to be missed. So I'm going to put a pitch for that.
Yeah, I wanted to say a couple more things. In that same vein that Janet said, the keynote speak, it's usually very good. I for some reason I missed all the keynote speak until last year, and when I actually was there, well, I had to be there because I was on the social media committee. It was amazing. It was incredible, and I was super moved by it, and it was so inspiring. I almost cried, like literally, and that's something that I never felt before with that technical talk. That was amazing, and yeah, I don't remember the other thing, but definitely check the keynote speak.
Radita, I know I'm not a panelist, but I'm going to interject here. I have one more, maybe another set of things that you all might want to look at. So every year, the students at SC program run some workshops, really specifically geared towards students. And these happen normally, really before the conference kicks off. And this year, our colleague Sally is organizing these workshops, and there are a lot of good topics this year being presented. And in my communication to you all this week, I'll give you a link to the Google Calendar where you can kind of see the summary of these events. But I think you will find, because we developed these specifically with the students in mind, that some of these will be very applicable to you and what you're interested in. And so I think all of those are kicking off this year. Let's see, looking at the calendar, looks like on Tuesday, the 17th, she's got a couple of days of programming. And so I would encourage you to check that out as well.
Thank you, Ashley. Actually, that's really helpful. And yeah, and here in this panel, we know there are several people that already attend SC for how many times already. Just feel free to jump in and give us your opinion and suggestions. That's like really appreciated. So yeah, I know Dr. Panda. He knows everything about network and big data, and yeah, I attended several of his sessions, and it's really good. And that time, I don't really know what is HPC, but he convinced me that HPC is really cool, kind of thing. Okay, so we have our schedules and the recommendations from our panelists. Who's here, like, I don't know, this is your first time attending a conference or a virtual one? Like, maybe you can raise your hand. No, that's a lie. That's a lie.
It's true that I haven't attended virtual conferences really before.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this will be my first virtual conference experience.
Okay, yeah. Feel the joy of, I don't know, wearing pajamas while watching conference. But for me, that's really like not recommended at all. But I want to hear from all of you, what should we do when we are like attending conference, how to get the most experience, how to be proactive with this, what not to do, and stuff like that. Maybe we can start again from the left, and that will be Janet.
Okay. So one thing I would say about our community, at least I feel this way about it, I don't know if everybody has this experience, but that it's a pretty open community. And you've heard this a couple of times from people, that if people are really approachable. And that's because, again, like I mentioned earlier, we're all facing these issues, or, you know, we're on the cutting edge. Nobody knows everything. And so there's things that I also need to learn. And so we're all kind of in the same boat, even though a lot of us have been doing it for years. Still, there's new things coming online. There's still new things to learn. And so we're all very approachable, because sometimes students help me solve problems. And so I talk to everybody who wants to talk to me about my issues or what I'm trying to learn. And so just approach people and don't be shy about that. And again, we're going to try to give you opportunities to do that. So take those opportunities. But yeah, approach people. Don't be shy. You know, just go out there and just do it.
Yeah, and you know, the other panelists have all said, I think, you know, Manuel and Jeanette have both said, don't be shy. And Rocio said something similar too. I think she said, don't, I can't remember how she put it, but she said something also very similar. And I'm gonna take a slight tangent on that and say also, don't be afraid. So it's very easy to look at an abstract in the technical program and go, oh, you know, there's no way I'm gonna understand that. That's way beyond me. And the fact is probably 3 people completely understand what's being discussed, because that's the point. It's a cutting edge research paper. And the purpose of going is to learn about it. And if you did know very much about it, if you did understand it, then it would never have been accepted as a paper in the first place. So, so it's worth feeling dumb because you won't for long. And as Jeanette said, this is a very open and welcoming community. And people are very happy to discuss their work. So if you have any interest at all, don't be intimidated by the fact that it's all cutting edge research. Because the fact is that most of you, especially those of you who have spoken up and are in graduate school, are doing the same sort of thing. So don't be shy, and also don't be afraid.
Can I maybe say one more thing there too?
Sure.
So there's a mobile app that will be available to all of us as we go into the conference. And that mobile app is a great way to, like, if you attend a paper or you attend a talk and there was someone there that spoke to you, like maybe you are interested in maybe pursuing a job with them or understanding more about their research or collaborating with them, you can likely find them in that mobile app and send them a message, you know, send them an email. And if they don't respond, what have you lost, you know? But I bet you will find that people will respond to you. So it's harder in this virtual world because you won't run into them in the hallway. You know, you won't see the speaker and have the opportunity to say, oh my gosh, I enjoyed your presentation. And can I ask you this question? Or, you know, do you have openings, or, you know, whatever, can we grab coffee? So you can use that app this year, though, to do that afterwards. And so what Doug and Jeanette and the others are telling you is very important. You know, make those connections. This year, though, you're probably going to have to work a little hard and be more deliberate about those connections and use these tools, the mobile app, the Slack channel, if it's one of the other students, or, you know, all of the tools that we're giving you. It's just this year, you're going to have to really work a little harder to make those connections.
And I think that the fact that, you know, those of us here who are giving you the experience perspective, many of us, SC is can't miss. We haven't missed it forever. I haven't missed it since I was a freshman undergrad. And a lot of that reason is because the community and the people in it still continue to amaze me today as much as they did when I was an undergraduate student. Along the lines of working harder, then I know that I and other experienced professionals like me will appreciate the effort and the connections even more than in a typical year.
Okay, I think Jay can also jump in. He has also has some advice for us. His first SC is SC 2006. Come on, Jay.
I'm coming. Yeah, so that was Tampa. And so it's been a long time for me. And I've been to a whole lot of conferences since. But I just wanted to, I'm trying to stay out of this as much as I can, let everybody else have a chance to talk. So the big thing is that if you don't feel comfortable talking to somebody in front of everybody else during the session, please contact them afterwards. Everybody wants to know that I listened to your work and I'm interested. I mean, just think about yourself presenting your work. If nobody asks a question, you're kind of like, well, did anybody hear me or understand? But if somebody comes up to you afterwards and says, hey, I want to know more about this, that's a really great feeling for you. So just keep that in mind, that it's not just about you learning something, but you're also helping somebody else feel like they're having some impact with their work. So don't feel embarrassed about it, because even if it's not a great question because you don't know enough about the topic, just the fact that you care enough to ask means that they're going to be wanting to help you understand so that they can share what they've done with you.
Cool. So yeah, how about Lucio and Manuel? And maybe Anya wants to jump in too.
So I would say that not only for professional or research interest, but also if you feel like that person you have in front of, that person you have heard has a career path you are interested in learning, how was it, how did he or she get to that certain point, which opportunities that person accessed, also feel free to ask. Most of them will be pleased to inform you about opportunities, maybe opportunities in countries different from yours, so you don't know how the procedures are. So feel free to ask anything that comes to your mind, not only related to research career, but also to how to move in the career. If you're interested to know the differences between academia and companies, for example, there's people that have hybrid profiles and they can explain the different paths. Feel free to do that. In the end, it's like a lot of people you'll meet there, you'll feel like they are transatlantics compared to you being a small boat in the sea. But most of them will somehow explain you that, you know, lifeguards boats in the transatlantic are that size. So somehow try to be part of the community and don't be shy at anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if there's much to add there, but as someone who I really haven't attended any other virtual conferences yet. It's going to be my first one. I think that it's going to be super important to be focused and really commit the time to be on the computer and to be attending each one of these in a way that is meaningful to you and to anyone who's on the other side of the screen. So that's comes back to the same point of scheduling very well. Try to partition your day so you can actually do whatever you need to do, but commit the time to be really all in different activities that are going to happen. So that's something that I look forward to do because it's going to be my first time in a completely virtual setting. And the other thing is that be aware that these people that you're going to be talking to, many of them are important people in their own realm. And I'm not saying this to scare you, but in the other sense, to actually encourage you to connect with these people in a meaningful way, and just realizing that they are just regular people like you and me, but they have a little more travel, bad travel, right? And they are usually, these people are super open to talk to anyone about their accomplishments, and they're going to be happy to share some of those anecdotes and knowledge with you. So if you think of people who have maybe wrote NAPAC or OpenMP or some new kind of Fortran build, ORA Fortran, those are people that I myself have met during the years in SC, and I have talked to them about these different accomplishments. And it's amazing. Last year, there was the CEO of NVIDIA in the floor just going around and taking pictures. So are something that you need to plan on and try to engage with. And of course, the time is going to be short for them, so try to do it as successfully.
Yeah, I think there's something about the size of the problems that we solve in high performance computing. Something about approaching problems so grand makes people feel more humble. It really is a welcoming community.
I must agree with that.
I was going to say that also makes me want to say that here I am, I'm a cluster system administrator, been doing it for about 17 years now. And certainly in my field, I'm pretty big stuff, but then I work with these scientists, right, who are doing atmospheric research and stuff like that. And I realize that I'm just a small piece of this really large puzzle, and so are they. And so that helps me feel more like a community rather than, putting them on a pedestal or putting myself on a pedestal.
Agree. So yeah, actually I have my own personal recommendations. Everyone in here talking about making connections and everything. Trust me, every person I meet in SC, they're all humble, they're willing to help, and then they give a really interesting stories and convince you that, yeah, I want to do HPC for my career. So I used to be like, I really like to take a job shift at the info booth. That's like the weirdest place, because so my recommendation is stay curious, get to know what other people are doing. It will entertain you, it will broaden your perspective, and then attend the events and sessions this is not my field, but it's actually good to know. So my own experience, I offer here some students talking about doing computational fluid dynamics, not my field, with the machine learning. And then I met another person in my group, and here they're doing something similar. And then, I know another guy that's doing the similar stuff. And then I connect these people. So you build these connections with everyone in unprecedented place, it's a weird place. Just talk with anyone. That's my suggestion. Stay curious. So it seems anyone wants to jump in? I know some names in here already in the student volunteers for several times. If you're interested to give your perspective.
Jordita, I think the question that Jeanette asked earlier, if there's anyone that has attended a large conference like this year from a virtual standpoint, and you have some lessons learned or good tips or things that worked well for you, we'd love for you to either talk about them or put them in chat, because as Doug said earlier, this is some of our first experience with these big virtual conferences. So that I think I actually might have just cut someone off that was about to speak, and for that I apologize.
Hi, this is Omkar. So I have actually attended PLDI virtually this year, and so one way I found it useful to actually maneuver through all the sessions that they have and the different programs that they have is to basically keep tabs of all the events or all the paper talks and everything. Uh, Keep like a timetable probably added to your calendar or something. It is better to this is something that we do in physical conferences as well, where you try to attend a conference with someone that is interested in that talk with you, so you can actually uh, 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 collaborate or like uh, match your timings and attend all of these, and so that you can discuss all of those talks and papers and events along with this small group that you would have. And feel free to actually ask questions, because most of these talks and papers are held in Zoom rooms where you can easily ask a question. And yeah, the philosophy of no question is a dumb question is pretty good, because if you don't ask, then somebody might not ask, and that question will never be answered. And so definitely ask, or never be afraid. And being virtually actually helps, because sometimes not having your face out there will probably give you more courage to ask questions. So I would actually say that yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to approach anyone online as well. So yeah, definitely take advantage of this virtual session, so that next time, if at all we go physical again, whenever we go physical again, your experience will be enhanced even further. So.
Cool. Thank you, Omkar. So anyone else interested to share their experience with a virtual conference? I already attend several of them. One is ISC. I think I was I'm not joking when I said like don't wear your pajamas when attending a virtual conference. That really distract you. You need to be like fully focused. It's actually more difficult to focus with all of these distractions compared to attending a real conference. That's yeah, I think like dressing up and then put yourself in front of your laptop, and then prepare your notes to write down what are the topics there out there, and then make a list of people who you want to connect. Like doing things actively really help when it comes to the virtual conference. It's really hard to concentrate. So
I wanted to say, I know you all think that Doug is just dressed down because he's virtual, but this is how he would look if he was on the panel in person. So, you know.
So, you know,
I might not have brought my student cluster competition hat from days of yore. I might not have put that in my suitcase, but otherwise, yes, I would look like this.
So to that point, one thing that might be of interest and maybe a little different this year is that some of the content is going to be available after the conference ends online. And so maybe you don't have to kill yourself this time around to try to fit everything in that you want to see and you want to do and you want to hear. So that is one of the advantages of going virtual. Is they have relaxed, you know, kind of what's available online. So if you miss something that first week, or you want to watch it again, maybe you didn't catch something and you're really interested in it. That is one tip I might have to give you this year, is that some of the content, and indeed a lot of the content, will be available on demand after the conference ends. For, I think, I can't remember if it's 6 months, 1 year, 4 months, but I know it's not 2 weeks. So.
Good
Hi,
to know.
Hi. Can I suggest something too?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So I attended a couple of virtual conferences this year, and besides networking, which I think it's like super important thing, I would also add to try to be focused during the conference. I know it's super easy to lose focus during virtual meetings, but organize yourself and stay focused during the presentations, and also take care to have your own breaks to not be so overwhelmed. So and another thing is to invest on your digital presence, like our LinkedIn or university page. It will be our digital or business card this year. So I will recommend that you take care of those things too. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. So I think we take almost, it's already more than an hour. But yeah, so I have last questions, and I actually really like for the attendees to put more questions to our panelists here. They are really hard to, I don't know, to get together actually. And this is your chance, but if not, you can message them on Slack or just contact them by email. I say that again, everyone in an SC is like really nice. And look, also already shared his email here. So last time, so SC is people. Do you have any recommendation on or advice on how to network in this conference? I think we were talking about that a lot, but it should be emphasized, in my opinion. So back to the students again. Manuel, what are your networking tips?
I would say don't hold back. Just talk to the people that you have in front of you. That what I was saying before, that maybe that person is a big shot in what they do. Don't let that distract you or make you feel inferior. Just ask them the question, and definitely attend as many events as you can. That way you're gonna have the most exposure to different kind of um, formats of events and people, because some of them are more open, some of them are more one-to-one, like the mentor protege one. The job fair, you can actually talk to people who work there and ask them about their work environment. And yeah, every little event is an opportunity to connect and work. So yeah, don't hold back. Be forward on what you want to do. Yeah.
I just want to give a big +1 to that answer.
Nothing else? Oh.
Well,
Okay, Rocio.
I'll take my turn, but it's not my turn right now.
Okay, I will give you time to give like something different, something mind blown.
I'll speak for myself, blow no minds, and start.
Okay.
Sorry, Rocio, go ahead.
No, that's fine. If you want to continue, I can do it later. I was about to say something which can seem very simple, but sometimes we forget about. I don't know about the others, but me personally, I'm terribly bad remembering names and faces. So virtually, it's going to be even worse. And I would recommend that do not hesitate to email the others, anyone you're interested in contacting. And in that email, I would personally don't forget to include who you are, what do you do, how did you met that person? Maybe, hey, I was attending this workshop and I loved your talk about whatever, and why you are interested in connecting with that person. So introduce yourself, highlight what made you contact that person, and present your interest. I would say that that can be a nice way to proceed this year when emailing someone. And don't forget that SC is a busy week, 2 weeks this year. So if someone is not answering you in 1-2 days, or give them some time, wait until SC is done, because there's a lot of things going on. And if in, I don't know, 1 week after SC, that person hasn't replied, then maybe it's time to send a second email.
Okay, your turn.
Who's?
You.
Oh, okay, very good. So it's hard when you're virtual, you're facing everyone. So it's hard to use eye contact to give cues. To add to what other people have said, I'd like to include, remember that that you are also a networking point. And that, so my graduate advisor used to say that in high performance computing, you're never more than 2 handshakes away from anyone else. So it's not only important to network with potential employers or advisors, it's also important to network with one another, because in many cases, your peers have already met people you're interested in. Share your contacts with those around you. People that were my peers at early SC, now I probably have every national lab covered with people that were student friends of mine that I met casually at supercomputing. Share your contacts, make connections for one another, and you'd be surprised how far you can reach in a community.
So to add to that, I want to say that the HPC community is fairly small. And that's that same idea of being so close to each other. We are really 1 or 2 people away from anybody in the community. So that means, like, if you have, maybe you want to meet somebody, but you're a little shy about approaching them, but you might be okay with approaching me. And you might approach me and say, hey, I want to talk to this person. How would I go about it? Or do you have a contact that you could put me in, and maybe I know somebody who knows them, or maybe I know them directly or whatever. So that's the thing too, is you can ask around, and people that you feel more comfortable asking, and often we can help you get in contact with people that you're looking to do that with. And your fellow students too. So don't leave the students out, right? So maybe ask your, other people in your lab or something like that, if they have some ideas about how to contact people. Often you'll find that people do. So, I mean, like, look here, Radita knows Dr. Panda, right?
I know him since ISC. It drags me to SC.
There you go.
And the list goes on. And then talking about networking, I think Rocio, she can advertise that we organize some spreadsheet with like potential collaboration between students.
Well, that's something which is really in an early stage, but anyone that is interested in sharing his skills or needs in terms of research collaboration can contact any student that is interested in, and if we are ready to implement that this year, we will for sure share with the students community. Yeah. And Radita, there's a question in the chat saying, how hard is it? Have you read it?
Yes. So there is a question. How hard is it to get into the workshops? So yeah, in GHC, it's all felt really fast. Maybe there is some insights from Ashley or Janet.
I'm a frequent Grace Hopper attendee, and the person that wrote that is correct. They fill up so fast because you have to pre-register for the workshops at Grace Hopper. I have not found in the in-present workshops at SC that's been a problem. You'll run across a few where the room gets really full, but I have never been turned away. I don't really know how workshops are going to work virtually. I assume you say the preference, so that in the past you would get an email that says, hey, you're registered for workshops, give us your preference, just so they can right size the rooms and say, oh, this is the really popular one, it's going to need a room with 120, and this one will need 40. I'm not sure how they're going to do it from a virtual standpoint, but I'm assuming that you will be able to get in because it's virtual and we don't have the seat, issue. You should be able to get into the workshops. I don't know, Doug, Jeanette, if you have any.
Yeah, that's right. As far as I know, this year at workshops, they're entirely open. And in other years, the sort of the answer to the question is it depends on how long the workshop has been going on. So the workshops with which SC has more experience, we do a better job of allocating them the right amount of space. And so, it really is a matter of, is the room full or not, is the only formal counting that we do. And so, but we have workshops that have been going on for years that now we're pretty good at sizing.
So bottom line, I think you'll be able to attend this year any workshop that looks interesting to you. And, the nice thing about this year is if something isn't floating your boat, you can always move to another one. And so a little easier to do, I think, this year. Actually, I guess it's not hard to do when we're in there either, because all the workshops are usually co-located. So you can just get up, walk out, and move into another room. But this time, nobody knows that you got up and left in the middle of their workshop. So, there's that.
I was going to add something similar with the idea that SC, you can move between workshops. I don't know about tutorials too, same thing, right? You can choose. So if you're in a tutorial and you find it's not really doing for you, you can just leave. And I would encourage you to do that. There's just so much to do that if you find that you're sitting there and this is not working for you, there's something else out there, go find it. So don't feel like you have to be obligated to sit in a room just because you showed up at the beginning. You can leave if you need to. It's your conference. You should get the most out of it for yourself, not worry about the presenter. They're going to be used to people getting up and leaving and stuff like that. So it's all perfectly fine and easier this year, like Ashley mentioned.
Yeah, and the workshops this time, at least for us, they're going to be pre-recorded. So the value of being in the room during the workshop is that you can actually ask questions to the organizer, and they're going to be around moderating and answering questions about anything during the workshop. But if you cannot attend, they're going to be pre-recorded, and then you can access them later, in a later date. So don't worry too much about attending all of them if you can.
So are there any other questions like that, like Chrism just asked us? Is there anything like that these folks can answer for you before we sign off?
I don't think so. I hope that we will get more questions though.
And if not, that's okay. We have a Slack channel for student volunteers. So if you think of something after this is over, pretty much all these faces are in that Slack channel and we'll be happy to answer them. And obviously you can email us at any time or Slack us. We were just trying to help you, especially the first timers, really understand that HPC is a very friendly community and you should not worry. You should not be scared or intimidated, and you should get out of it what you need to advance your career goals, your educational goals, whatever the case may be. So I hope we've made that point. And I hope all of you are going to leave with maybe a couple of tips on how to maximize your conference. I'm going to stick around here. I'll let Radita wrap it up, but I'm going to stick around for a couple minutes after we wrap up in case you have any specific questions about the student volunteers this year. I'm going to do that after each panel. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. We're getting really close to the conference. It's hard to believe how many days or how few days we have left. So if you have any burning specific student volunteer questions, I'm going to stick around after Radita wraps us up. So Radita, I'm going to turn the floor back to you.
Awesome, Ashley. Yeah, thank you so much for all of you attending these sessions. Thank you also for all of the panelists. You give like awesome advices for all of us. Even me, I think like I learned a lot. It's like, oh yeah, I should put more posters or something like that. That's really helpful. So thank you guys for attending this panel. Ashley will helping you if you have more questions about student volunteer, or just like us. We are like, most of us are working at home or staying at home anyway, so we will be able to answer your questions. So have a good day and good night if you are living in Europe. So thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, Radita. Thank you, panelists.
Thank you,
Ankar,
everyone.
on the phone. Ankar Patil.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So it looks like you're the winner of the game tonight, because I threw out all of the panelists and lead volunteers. And so you are the recipient of a $25 Amazon